All right, welcome back. I'm Court. This is Tim. It's been a while. Here to discuss the Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1, When You Are Alone in the Dark. Now, I will say, generally, I think when I hear video game adaptation, I usually don't have high hopes for it. You think about
Yeah.
some of the popular video game adaptations, Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, even the newest Mortal Kombat, which I thought was fine. It was a Mortal Kombat movie. It wasn't Citizen Kane. But
I've liked all the movies you just named.
well, I didn't name Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation. There's no way you like Mortal Kombat
That's
2
a bad one.
Annihilation. That was
One.
garbage.
Yeah.
You like Super Mario Brothers. You only because you saw
I
it as
own
a
it.
child.
I have like 10 DVDs, and that's one of them.
Super Mario Brothers with John
Bob
Leguizamo
Hoskins.
and Bob
John
Hoskins.
Leguizamo.
Yeah, that movie is so crazy, but I give it a pass because it's not like there was a lot of source material to work with for Super Mario Brothers. Like, what is that game about? A plumber rescuing a princess? I mean, they took it in a weird direction with like
They tried to make it realistic, which I really love. Like it's like because Ninja Turtles. I'm sure it was because of Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah,
Ninja Turtles was popular and it was like believable.
the 1989 Ninja Turtles. That
Teenage
one was
Mutant
great.
Ninja Turtles, and you don't expect something believable, but the first one was, like a real movie, and so I feel like they tried to do that. Like, how can we make this, so they make it like interdimensional and like with real, like they put a story and a plot behind a 2D, figure hopping on Goombas and getting coins,
right?
So high hopes in general from video game movies. And
well, not to go off on a tangent, but what are your thoughts on the new one?
Mario Brothers?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Chris Pratt's voice being Chris Pratt bothers me a little bit.
Did you see the trailer?
But yeah. I'm excited because Logan's very excited, which means they're getting the job done. You know what I mean?
You get the children, you get the next generation. They already got 40 years of money out of you. They got to get him addicted. That's the future money.
Yeah, no, he loves Mario, and I mean he likes it. It looks good, so we're gonna go see it as a family, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they're hoping millions of people around the world will be saying.
Exactly.
And I'm sure it'll pay off for them. Like, can you think of like other video game movies that have sucked?
I can't really think of any other video game movies at all, really.
I mean, there are a few. There are a lot of them.
I mean, Alone in the Dark's actually a good example. That was like one of the first scary video games I ever played, and they made it into a movie, but it wasn't really related much. But that's actually I almost chose that background for my thing today because it's an old scary video game that, for me, even though it wasn't zombies, kind of started horror video games for me.
Silent Hill.
That movie. Warcraft. I didn't see it. Looked terrible.
Looked terrible.
I never played like Warcraft 3 or all that. I played like the first two and loved it. It's just like a strategy game, but it looked pretty bad.
No, Silent Hill. I saw that movie. It was not very good. The Silent Hill games are very scary.
Oh yeah, Sonic. Did you see that?
No, I heard it was good though.
It is good. The second one was all right. The kids love it again, but the first one, Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
I can never think of the guy's name, but Cyclops. He was Sonic was funny and Jim Carrey was funny. It was a good one. So,
yeah, and I think a lot of reason why a lot of those early video game movies like Street Fighter, which just a crazy movie. Like what?
Again, they try to make it realistic, like believable.
Such a crazy movie. I mean, I love, was it Raul Julia, the actor who played Gomez in Addams Family? He's like the bad guy in that movie. He's such a great overactor.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bison, and then it was Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile.
Yeah. See, in these movies, I feel like they're not that great because the games they're based off of are not that story intensive,
Right.
But The Last of Us has an amazing story. That's why it was the game of the year. It was because the story was so great, and it was like a cinematic experience. And games have been building to that over the years. The more and more role player games you play, they all have to have a really good story behind them. And if they want to get any traction nowadays, there's like a serious like game of the year type contender. And so I think The Last of Us is like the kind of thing, like when it came out, it was like, this is so perfectly geared for an adaptation.
Yeah. I mean, I do, I think something that always concerns me when it comes to a video game, like modern video games and adaptation, is they always leave the main character kind of vague in a lot of ways because they want
Because they want you
anybody
to
to be able to pick up the game and feel like it's them. Or,
right.
play it your own way and be your way. But I feel like with that game though, they did give him a lot of character though. Like it was weird. Like you don't usually see as much kind of clear character as much as you did in that game.
And I've been playing Far Cry 5 recently on the PS5. Like
that's what I'm playing. It was the free game of the month.
Was it? Oh, I signed up for like whatever the $120 a year. You just get the whole library. That shit's good.
Yeah,
I just picked it up. I was like, it's a fun game to just like pick up and play. But I don't like how the main character is mute. I feel like they do that because they want, you to imagine yourself in that role. But then I think about a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, which was also another really good role player game, where like the main character is not mute. Like you don't see yourself as him, but you play through the game as him, and like you hear the things that he says, and I think it adds to the story when it makes it so that the story, I think, is more focused as well.
Yeah, it's weird that that difference in games like Far Cry where they don't give you any. Like they don't show you in cutscenes or anything like that. It's just like completely, right. You're just an observer almost, even though, you're controlling the game.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that have really helped, or that really helps this, and I hope we see more of this going forward, as far as it being a good adaptation, is just go away from the movies. We don't need a movie. That first episode was like an hour and 30 minutes, and it was great. I can't imagine adding 45 more minutes onto that and trying to tell the entire story that they're going to tell over the course of this season, in an hour and a half, 2 hour, 2.5 hour movie. Like you just can't condense it into it. Like the whole first episode would have just been like the first 10 minutes of the movie. Yeah. And then, episodes like 2 through 6 would be the next 35, 45 minutes. And it's just like, to tell the story in a way that resonates with a viewer so that you can actually draw some emotions out of it, TV is the perfect medium.
Yeah, I mean, TV and games work so well because of that. You get about 40 hours in a good game, and then if you do the side quests and you take your time and you play, then you're going to get like 78 hours out of some. Obviously give and take, but I mean, a game like that probably was, I didn't look, but probably close to that. But again, a movie, you can do that in 2 hours. So there's no way, obviously that's not all story, but it kind of is. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. And the characters are all, usually again, even if you don't do the side quests in the show, the side quests teach you a lot about each character. So you learn the characters a lot better than you might learn them in, just a quick 2 hours. So yeah, I mean, I think the video games and shows work really well together. And I have a feeling that there'll be more coming. Like, I don't know about Red Dead Redemption necessarily, but games like that, where there's a big following and good characters and kind of an open world, because then they can kind of just go in whatever direction they want. They don't have to follow, perfect story. But
yeah, I think we get a Grand Theft Auto game before we got a Red Dead Redemption. And that Grand Theft Auto game would be crazy, especially considering like which one of the stories they decided they wanted to tell. I mean, there've been so many Grand Theft Auto games with so many different.
Did you ever see Free Guy?
I didn't. I heard that was good too.
I liked it a lot. Ryan Reynolds that was a surprise. Me and Kara put it on one night, not expecting to like it, either one of us, and she liked it a lot too, which is, it was really good because it was a Grand Theft Auto game, but it was from one of the guys working at the bank.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just, It was interesting. But yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see that. But I guess specifically in this first episode, the one word that I would use, definitely cinematic. Like the cinematography, the shots, like it looked like something you could go and watch in a movie theater and be impressed by. And that's why I'm so happy we have things like HBO. I'm a little worried with their new direction from their leadership. They might be spending less money on things because they care more about profits than making quality products.
What we just talked about.
Capitalism.
Before the recording started.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. They're making some moves over there that kind of point in that direction, where it's like that maybe the new management just wants to make money, but it's like, no, the reason that people like HBO is because you guys are the quality. You guys are prestige television. We don't get this, on NBC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it had that quality, and something, speaking of HBO specifically, something I thought that was kind of like bold. I don't know how I felt about it at first, but like it definitely pretty quick. I like agreed with it and still agree with the opening credits. I mean, there's nobody who is an HBO fan who didn't recognize that opening credits
Oh
as
yeah,
being part
it's
of the Game of Thrones opening. I mean, but
yeah.
again, I think when you get something that's a home run and it's right and it's almost branded, I'm okay with that. And it works so well for the show. It almost worked better than Game of Thrones.
Especially with because with the fungus thing, and you have the
Spreading
two Game of
fungus.
Thrones you have the two Game of Thrones alums, and it's just like, oh, I guess this is the direction that HBO is going with these
Yeah.
openings now. It was so much like
Their
what
shows
we're
are
used
big
to.
and they're growing, so it works, and the fact that it ended up turning into like the United States and then into the world and then into the
Yeah,
characters was, I don't know. At first, I was like, "Are they really doing this?" And then, like I said, after watching it, because I forgot after when the show started, but then thinking back, I was like, I think that worked really well. And like I said, for the fact that it was fungus and growing like that, and even the music was from the game. The guy who wrote the
oh yeah,
score for the game is involved in this, and I'm assuming the same person did the sound. I mean, it was the same song from the
yeah.
game. So,
I think the showrunner is the person who wrote the script for the game. I believe. I'm not from.
yeah, I know that he is, but like it's him and then somebody who came from something else big, not Game of Thrones, but
But even before before the credit scene, I think the laziest way to start off any piece of media, TV show, movie, well, no matter what it is just the exposition, the voiceover explaining to us what's going on. And here this is how you do that well. That whole thing was just to let's set the stage for what's about to happen. But rather than just having someone disembodied voiceover explain to us what's going on, and I'm thinking about some other shows that have come out recently that have gone in that direction. Like that was short, it was to the point, it was easy to understand, and now we all don't need to have played the game to have the stage set. Like it's
yeah,
like
it
okay,
was also dramatic because it was people on a stage. It was like, what you don't usually get. The voiceover is like the opposite of dramatic.
right,
You like waiting for it to get over because it's uncomfortable.
right,
Like even when they do it well, like in Terminator 2 is probably the best one I can think of. Even that's like, all right, just you don't ever want to hear someone just talking over some scenes. Like, but the way that they
right.
did it was like interesting and dramatic. Like, so everybody on the stage, the audience was captivated and just I don't know, it seemed a really good way to present that. And even after playing the game, knowing I was going into the show, I kind of forgot that it was like the fungus. And like I know those ants are a real thing and all that. So like I don't know, the reminder was fun. And I know they're trying to make it so that you don't have to play the game. Obviously, not very many people.
Right.
Plenty of people played it, but compared to the audience they want, they want people from, even the not gaming world, let alone people who haven't played it. So for them to be able to introduce it like that was definitely a strong start. And that definitely wasn't from the game. They didn't have anything like that in the game that I remember.
No. The game starts off, I'm pretty sure, when she wakes up in her room.
Yeah, you start with the daughter.
Yeah. And I like how like they expanded that, like it's good to show like this is just living your life every day, going to school, her dad's birthday. I think Pedro Pascal said in the first scene he was turning 36 years old. And it's like, okay, I can suspend the disbelief for like this fungus taking over the entire world and everything. But there ain't no way in hell that man 36 years old. Like, you better put that Star Wars de-aging technology on him or something, because you can just get out of here with that. Like, just don't even say how old he is. Just
that's something that I actually had to look it up because I haven't played the game in a while. And when I played the game, I don't know. I don't remember like loving it. I guess because it was so hyped up. I remember liking it a lot, but it wasn't one of those ones that like I like instantly replayed or anything. But I had to look it up because I thought that this was true, and it was. The game was from 2013.
Yeah,
and they jumped. So I don't know why they made the 10-year difference in this. I don't know because why would they want to age him 20 extra years? It doesn't really make sense.
I don't know because it start. But see, the game came out back then too, so it's like it starts in present day and jumps to the future. I think they wanted to start a while ago and jump to now. Why they chose to do it 20 years instead of 10 years? I was thinking maybe because they want to make it so like people like Ellie just like grow up into society. Like you really have it's immersed where like there's a whole generation that doesn't know a normal life, never had a real birthday party.
Yeah.
Never played a video game. They like this was going on for years before they were born. That's the only thing that I could think of. I thought of that too.
Well, that's kind of funny too, because it also might coincide with another issue I had, which like I'm kind of jumping ahead of things, but I mean it's one episode, but it was a huge episode. So, but but the fact that she was a little more intense than she was out of the gate in the video game. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
recall her being ready to stab people with knives and hide things and lie and cheat so early. She was a little more innocent. I wasn't innocent, but she was definitely not. She was tough in the movie, in the show. So,
well, yeah, and not to jump the gun, we can come back to that, but I will say we do know that she'd already done things in the game before she met him. So like she already pretty sure she'd already killed.
I don't remember that. I just remember her being so. I guess she was just shy. She's a little girl, so I guess I don't really. I'll have to play. I do plan on playing the game again after the season. I'm playing the game right now, so playing Far Cry.
Which one?
5.
Oh, you playing the same one?
Yeah.
Nice. Is that the free game this month?
Yeah, that's what I said. It was the free game of the month. I got it like 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I was playing. I should have. Well, I didn't. Wouldn't matter. I think I got I started playing in December, but I haven't been on it in a couple of weeks because it's just been crazy.
Yeah, I haven't done multiplayer. I just do single player. So
yeah. So that first 40 minutes, that first scene, her going to school, getting the watch fixed, and you see the wife come out, and she's heard something, and it's just it's the build is so good because you see things going on in the background, and what's going to happen, and you just realize the character. She maybe knows this things are a little weird out here, but there's just no way of knowing just how much things are going to pop off, And I love that scene. I love how it looked. Is the way they shot it was just like the video game, like that point of view when they're driving the truck and the farmhouse is on fire. And it was like, man, to choreograph that, to have those long tracking shots where you're only seeing what's out the front of the truck with the headlights is like, I feel like a lot of time and technical skill goes into that. And it pays off because it looked really cool when you're watching it. It's like, this looks just like the video game.
Well, that's the thing is they took important cut scenes and they kind of kept them as cut scenes, as opposed to cutting them up themselves, So, in a video game, obviously it's as easy as you can. It's just, you make it, but it's definitely a challenge to film it like that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, there's like Dawn of the Dead. And you can there's probably almost 3 hands full. At least 10 examples of starting a movie where it's going to be zombies or something. It's quiet at first. There's something building. The news channel starts saying something and somebody turns it off. It's probably
what the news is talking about in the background.
Yeah, no, exactly. On a normal day.
That's how you know it's about to happen.
If we all knew zombies were here tomorrow, we'd be listening today.
Right. Did someone say something about Indonesia? Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah. But like I said, of all the places, the ones who did it, random things here and there, I feel like this one was, I don't say the most subtle, because I feel like every one of those entries that I'm talking about, from any of those zombie movies, there's so many little subtle things you could rewatch forever. But I feel like this one was just smooth. I don't know. It didn't.
That's why Shaun of the Dead is so good, where it's not subtle at all, and he still doesn't recognize it.
Yeah, no, he's just not paying attention.
Right. It's because that's how, if you're just living your life, that's how life is. Motherfuckers acting weird today. What the hell is going on? It's open your eyes. These are clearly all zombies. They're not trying to hide it.
Well, that's the thing, though. Shaun of the Dead joked about it, 10 years ago or more when that came out? Probably 15 years. I don't even know. I'm feeling old now. But it's happened, 10 times since then. So there's been so many examples of getting to watch the beginning of an apocalypse of some sort like this. Right. 28 Days Later, and The Walking Dead, I guess, didn't really do that for us, but they did with Fear of the Walking Dead, which I actually thought was a pretty good one. That was a terrible. I didn't watch the show. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was getting bad already, so I stopped. But the first episode where they did that whole build-up, which is kind of one of my favorite parts of zombie movies, that finding out how it happens, finding out what exactly causes it, and what it does. Are they fast zombies? Are they slow zombies? Are they going to eat you? Or are they just going to bite you? Finding all those things is fun. But I think
that's when we really call the fat, so to speak. It's the first 48 hours of the zombie apocalypse where you're just well, you guys just not going to make it. The rest of us going to fight this shit for a while and eventually not make it. But you guys were just the first people to just not make it. God damn. I got most
people.
Yeah, I know it is most people. I just feel like I would be in the not most people camp. But
I think I'd be in the group of not first people, but I'd be definitely in the second group.
It's funny because when I was doing CrossFit and I first started, I was thinking, oh my God, these are all the people who are going to make the zombie apocalypse. There's no way I'm going to make it.
See, I feel like I'd be like naive. I'd be like, I'd be the person, not to say I'd stop for that family, because they drove by the family
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
road. Not to say I'd stop for that family, but eventually something would stop me like that, where the humanity would probably be my downfall. I would hope I'd get past that initial zombie rush to finally die through humanity.
Speaking of humanity, so like going back to the episode, we see the plane crash. Love that scene. Like that's another example of like something super cinematic. And then we get the scene where Sarah's killed by the army officer. And I just like you think about the humanity of one being that army officer where you get that call, from your boss, to shoot both of them, and how hard that would be. But you also have to assume this army officer's been briefed on what the situation is. They don't know what the situation is. They think the military is just coming in and killing people. But and I don't want to jump into episode 2, but in the very beginning of episode 2, we see some more stuff from the past, and it's just kind of like, yeah, we gotta fucking nip this in the bud. Like, this is a situation where if they thought that those two were infected, yes, kill them both. It is not gonna be easy. That is a innocent little girl, but that is what needs to happen right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the harsh reality. Again, stage kind of 1.5 of this whole zombie apocalypse is the brutality of I mean, if you want to survive, it's not going to be pretty.
Right.
And so whatever it takes is not a pretty scene.
He sees his daughter die in his arms. That shit was hard, but again, it's a testament to how good the show's made that this girl has only been on screen for 15 minutes at this point, and they still get an emotional beat out of, this is how it all starts. So, then we jump forward 20 years, and that kind of brings me back to what I was saying. Now we have this whole Fireflies versus Fedra, and it's like Fedra is a military dictatorship. You people do live under a military dictatorship.
You know what Fedra is, though, right?
What's up?
You know what Fedra is supposed to be in our reality.
I'm assuming FEMA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but I've never seen FEMA with guns like that, though.
Well, that's the thing is like, because FEMA has, supposedly conspiracies, FEMA has camps set up for things like this. And FEMA is the one basically the brains behind, the people with the guns are military people. FEMA doesn't do that. But FEMA is the one who controls it. They're the ones who make the plans. They're the ones who, set in motion what's going to happen. So I feel like I like Fedra. I thought that's a good acronym to make up for FEMA. But
no, it is a good one.
It quickly turns into the military.
I've heard of all these conspiracy theories, and I'm on the other side of conspiracy theories. Like, I don't want to live under a military dictatorship, but in a situation like this, that would be the best way to go about things. What the Fireflies want is basically what we have now, which is rule of the people, which is the preferable method of government. That's what I prefer. But I'm not sure if anyone remembers back in 2020, there was a similar issue with a outbreak of a worldwide pandemic. And when you have people running the government like us, it's not easy to get that shit under control. Because if you tell people to just stay inside and no one's making them, we're just not going to do it.
You wouldn't even believe it, though.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse movies have a new level of believability.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would think that no, people just do what they need to do. Everybody's dying.
But there'd be 100 conspiracies about what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I guess you haven't been watching a lot of football. I'm sure you saw Damar Hamlin, the Bills safety, where he went to cardiac arrest on the field.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, Monday Night Football. That was like one of the craziest things I ever saw in my life. It was like, did that man just die on the football field? Like, it looked like it. Like, he got up and he was out, and they were doing CPR on him. But he's out of the hospital now. He's doing fine. I read that Audrey Huff, an ex-Major League Baseball player, was posted on Twitter a conspiracy that, no, he's actually dead. That he died because he got the COVID vaccine, and now the NFL is covering it up. And that's actually a body double. That's not the real Damar Hamlin. Anyone can tweet from his account. That doesn't mean anything. And so I went to the comments, and the comments will just make you lose faith in mankind. There's just so many people that are agreeing with him, that are defending him. Like, even the people who are
bots. Do people really believe that shit?
I mean, sure some of them are bots, but no, it seems like just average everyday people who just believe this. And it's like, I mean, he posted yesterday, he went live on Instagram again to like show, hey, I'm actually alive. No, like that was real. And it wasn't anything to do with the COVID vaccine. It was the 220-pound man who slammed directly into my chest that caused my heart to temporarily not pump oxygen to my brain. Like, that's pretty direct what happened there. It was on camera.
That's surprised it hasn't happened more often, to be honest.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's just the exact timing, the exact hit, the exact angle. Like everything came together in the worst way possible.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so I mean, like, you think like if there were no Fedra, everyone would be dead, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're the brains. They got everything going. They already had the plan. Those
Right.
are like those organizations plan on everything. You know, all the fakes. You know, obviously there's going to be something that throws them for a loop, but they have a mass containment plan, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
And what I liked about that scene, and you can tell it, you can see it in the. I don't remember in the game. Maybe it's just because I knew, but I think they make it more obvious in the game. But in the show, they made it obvious that he knew from being either ex-military or just from being a wise guy.
Oh yeah.
He knew what that call was 100%.
Oh yeah.
He knew as soon as like the response came in that what was going on. You know.
Yeah.
He started kind of turning and put his arm. Started like, what do you do though? You know, like
100% he knew.
But
and that's also part of like when his brother, when he was like saying we gotta get her help, and his brother was just like, bro, like, you know she did. Like, like we don't have time for this right now. Like this is sad and everything, but we don't have time for this right now. She's dead. You gotta leave her. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Like they're gonna try to kill everybody. Like that's what that order was. They're killing everybody. We gotta go. Like that whole scene was just like, damn, that would be like, And then you see him in the future, and he is just pretty much turned off his emotions. You know, we see the kid gets diagnosed. It's like, oh, don't worry, kid, we're gonna get you your favorite meal. It's like, sweet.
I'm terrible too. I'm like, oh man, what is gonna get? Like, I didn't even like realize.
Like,
and it's red, which red is bad. Red is like stop. So that's like I was like, oh, he doesn't have it. Like,
no. So yeah,
that wasn't in the game either.
Once they start talking nice to him, it's like, oh, this ain't going well for you, bro.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, good, he's good. They're gonna give him some meat.
You know, and it's just like, nah, he's like, all right, get this body out of here.
Yeah, then he's
immediately. I'll do all the worst jobs because I get the most rations that way, and then I can trade those rations for drugs and pay off these Fedra. One thing I did notice in that second half, it seemed like there was a lot of violence happening, but they never actually showed it. Like you see the people about to get hanged, you don't actually see them get hung. You know, Tess gets beat up, but we don't like. She's already beat up when we get to the scene. You know, when he breaks into the warehouse or the building where they're holding Elle, and he's trying to get revenge for that battery. Like a fight had already happened. Like there's already like people shot on the ground, and I thought that was interesting because it's HBO. Like they're not usually shying away from showing us that violence, but it was like a lot of violence was happening, but they don't show it to us. And I feel like maybe that's just to show that this is just everyday life, or maybe not every day, but 20 years later, you're used to this shit.
I mean, you know what it also reminds me of though? The beginning of a video game. You don't really get involved in the action. You kind of get, slowly involved in the action more and more. Because I remember the first round of the video game, you're walking around without anything. You're like putting logs across gaps and you know what I mean? You're like
scavenging.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember a whole lot of violence in the beginning. So I mean, I feel like that's why I didn't even notice that really, because there's so much violence so close that it just felt like it was happening, even though I guess it didn't. That's weird. I think that might be the point too.
You see him beat that guy to death.
Yeah.
And Ellie's like kind of watching that, like, I don't know, look on her face. She was like,
again, that might have made it more brutal that he did that they showed nothing else the rest of the time, though, you know? It's like they just show this like world around you where it's happening, but they don't show it really happening. Then all of a sudden when it does happen, it's the main character doing it, and he's doing it in a pretty brutal fashion.
Yeah, that was brutal.
But
and it just seemed like this is 20 years of frustration coming out right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he killed the guy or not, but I can't. If something like that happened in the game, it wasn't exactly like that. But it was pretty close. Like they did a lot of I don't think they'll keep up with it. They did like. I want to play the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes again because I feel like that was a lot closer than you would expect a video game and a show to align.
And I think that's a smart way to do it, honestly, because Game of Thrones, I feel like they kept the first episode pretty much in line, the first season pretty much in line with the first book. And then when they started going off the story later, people were a little bit more forgiving. If they would have changed a bunch of things right out from the beginning, people, jump off quicker.
Like Wheel of Time,
Right.
where they're immediately just doing whatever they want, and it definitely threw me off.
Right.
Yeah, I think I don't know. That's the thing. You got to find like the loyalty. Like they get like people are loyal for a reason, so you got to like capture that. But you got to find a way to like make it good for everybody. So if there's things that didn't work, you got to rework them. But something that nobody's doing that and I've talked about it in almost every show we've done because everything we've done has been played off of something or a repeat or it's just they always want to just change things for no reason. Things that were good that it's not cinematically hard to show. I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons, but there's no good reason I can see to change massive facts. So the fact that they kept it true, like you said, makes it so that you can be more forgiving down the road. And
I would also say like I think shows should also be better at hinting at or kind of explaining the changes that they're making. If you can do it in a way that doesn't completely take the viewer out, so that like someone who's watching it doesn't think that it's arbitrary. But I mean, if the changes are just arbitrary, then what are you gonna do?
Well, one of the bigger changes I saw, because like there were some things that just were not from the first from the game. They definitely were same world. Nothing felt like out of place at all. But there were some things like the watch, certain things that they said to each other that were like verbatim,
right out.
Like exactly from the game. And like they did that quite a bit, like surprisingly a lot. And I only remember because I actually started the game like 2 or 3 separate times before I finally got into it. Like I was like, let me try, and I didn't want to. And so I remember the beginning of the game like very well. So I won't remember if they keep doing that, but I saw lots of things where they did that. But one of the things they didn't do, like when she exposed her bite, they made a much bigger deal about it because they were like just like you said, they were shooting on site 20 years ago. What are they doing now? They're going to shoot you on site and not even care. You talk about him not feeling, shooting on site. That girl that's with him seemed pretty heartless, and in the game, she's the one. She holds a gun to her, I'm pretty sure, and she's like, "What? You need to explain this to me right now." And it's like a big deal and like a dramatic scene, but in the show, it was like done. I thought they were even going to go back to it, but then they showed that panoramic view of the city, and it was like over. But I thought they were going to like almost talk about it again because I mean that's what the show's about. That's what everything's about. Like, and they almost played it off as like nonchalant, which I don't know. It's just weird. It's an odd way to do that for some reason.
Yeah. I think it might also have to do with how they cut the episodes because I read that my battery's running low. I don't know why. Hold on, should be charging. There we go. So I read that that should be fun. The episode was supposed to end with that kid dying. When we jump forward 20 years, the kid dies and he just like tosses the body, into to get rid of it because he's just to just show he's jaded now. Like that first.
There's still like 30 minutes after that, wasn't there?
Yeah. And that's why the episode was like an hour and a half long because HBO came in and they were not happy with the cut. They were like, nah, we need him he has to meet Ellie in the first episode. Like these are our 2 stars of the show. We can't have the episode end without the 1 star meeting the second star. And we have to build that up too. We're not just going to throw them together. So, you got to figure out a way to make that work. And I think that, at that point, we're already 90 minutes in. They just couldn't dwell on that any longer because they had to end the episode at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I like I don't know. I feel like just because I was thinking about it, like I really liked how they added extra time at the beginning with his daughter. But again, I feel like I don't know if the benefits of that are going to reap as far out in the future as the benefits of making that last scene dramatic. You know what I mean? Because I literally weighed those two in my mind. And I was like, for the first episode, I think they made the right choice. But if you're looking into like gaining fans that want to come back and want to continue seeing it and making what the show is about a bigger deal, I feel like they could have cut 45 seconds to make it 45 seconds. You know what I mean? Because I thought the same thing where I was like, just time-wise, it was already long. And I guess,
and so I think it's very important to have that first 20 minutes because it really shapes up how he comes to have the relationship, the father-daughter like relationship that basically is the crux of the story.
Well, they also, they took that opportunity to make it so that like she was the one experiencing the world coming, turning into what it was. And I didn't think about this, but I imagine for people who, I didn't even think about, so you just said that, but I imagine people who don't know the story probably didn't expect her to die. She probably came across as like the main character. Like it was all about
Oh
her.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't think about that. But yeah, you saying, I mean, I feel like,
And you naturally expect the first character you see in the narrative to be the main character.
man, like, it stuck with her, and like it was, she survived like some crazy shit real quick, and so yeah. So I guess that might have been a way to catch people who were not fans and make them more fans, I guess. And I guess
Right.
if you, and again, on the same note, now that I'm thinking about it, if you didn't know about the bite, then that probably was a lot more dramatic than it was for me. You know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
it just ends off there.
Yeah, it was no bump, bump, bump moment for me. But if it was that for you, then that was a big deal. So I guess I
Yeah.
could see. I guess it's all perspective. I expected less at the beginning and more at that part, but I already knew the story, so I didn't need that.
And it's like you said, they want the people who are invested in the story already, but they want 10 times as many people who've never heard of it to, they're looking for their next Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
So many
which
more people have seen Game of Thrones and have read it.
their only downfall, I think, which this isn't a criticism. This is actually I like about it. But if they're looking for that huge audience and we're looking for the next Game of Thrones, I think it was a little too scary. Like I said, Carrie she doesn't enjoy that. You don't want to be like that grandmother scene was one of my favorite scenes in the whole episode.
It was
Like,
creepy.
that's not enjoyable for some people,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
they're
it's
like
only
scared.
going
Like,
to get
I don't have
worse.
to deal with that. I'd rather just watch some action or watch even like she liked the game Walking Dead, like up until a certain point. But that was never really scary like that, But that was like horror scary when that grandma was making those like she was in the
Yeah,
background.
this is a horror video game. It only gets worse.
I remember. It's a good one. But yeah, so overall, I mean, I'd say I liked it a lot. I mean, I would say I don't know. I'm not good with ratings. I'd say I liked it. I would definitely, whether or not I'd play the game, I'd be interested to see it again, I think. And the fact that I played the game, I'm definitely interested in seeing where it goes. I like him a lot. I liked her a lot. So, which is huge because they're going to have to carry it because unlike Walking Dead, where there's 7 or 8 characters that kind of come and go, it's going to be the 2 of them with 1 or 2 people coming and going if they stick true. They do a lot of travel.
I think they're gonna have to weave in more storylines. Like
they're going to have to. They're going to have to get some more long-term characters, even if they have some subplots that don't follow at all what we know. You can't really base it.
I imagine, and this almost makes me think. We said what I said earlier about how he looks so old and like why they do it 20 years. Maybe they'll employ more flashbacks too.
Yeah, so I would welcome that. I thought
throw in more flashbacks to show like.
I think if I'm not mistaken, is there more than one game?
There's 2 games.
See, I never played, or like, does it follow the same exact plot?
It picks up with
it's called The Last of Us 2, right?
Yeah. Yes, Ellie. But yeah, they're gonna have to do something because that kind of the solitude of a video game where you can have will not translate well to a TV show where it's just 2 people for multiple episodes at a time. You got to bring in some things. You got to break that up.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how they do it because I want it to work for video games. I'm a huge video game fan, and I like video games like this. Like I don't know if you played games recently, but I say recently. God, this game's probably 10 years old too. But Detroit Become Human.
Detroit.
Yeah, it's called Detroit Become Human.
No, I haven't played it.
One of the best stories, and you don't hear about it with story games. But either way, there's so many good games with stories nowadays that but this is about like robots that like they're so lifelike that they start like becoming human. And like you play like 4 of them, and like you kind of go between the different ones. And
what the movie Megan?
Yeah, that's reminds me more of iRobot. Never saw Megan.
Oh, Megan just came out.
That horror movie.
Megan just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, there's just so many. There's a lot of potential there, and I feel like if somebody can do it right, it'll open up a lot of opportunities for some other games. And I'm looking forward to just like with George R. R. Martin, where he definitely wrote his books with adaptation in mind.
There's a lot more.
You can get some really good games where the adaptation's in mind. It's just that world. Like Harry Potter's a great example. And like actually, I've never seen the movies, never read the books, seen pieces of the movies. Kara loves it. I've been to Harry Potter World, got her the Harry Potter wand. I know all the details. But the game's coming out soon, and I'm going to buy it. I got it pre-ordered because it's a free world, magical type thing where I can get involved, and I know there's a whole world behind it, and I'm excited about that. So I feel like if there can be more of that in the future, people making these worlds, knowing that there's a potential for it to become a game and a show, and just create a whole something bigger.
I think the big hurdle is going to be, will the people who will adapt them be willing to put the money into them to make them quality? Because there's a lot of streaming services out there that needs content, but Paramount Plus might greenlight the Detroit adaptation, but how much money are they going to give the producers to make it? And then is it just going to look like crap?
Yeah. Yes, that's definitely the problem. And that's why it takes The Last of Us to get those budgets, because Game of Thrones did for fantasy television what nothing else could possibly done. The billions of billions that have been thrown.
So many people want to have their own Game of Thrones now,
Yeah. And even if they only get a piece of that glory, they're on the winning side of it, so.
Right.
But hopefully that happens. And one thing that I think is interesting about this too, it's almost like a kind of social experiment, almost in my eyes. The fact that like zombie apocalypse is kind of like on the out, like that kind of came and went, So the fact that this is coming late to the game
because there's so many of them.
Yeah, but it's coming late to the game, but it's the first one that's the adaptation. It's an interesting timing. So I want to see.
Yeah, I think it's gonna leapfrog The Walking Dead to be like the premier like zombie media of this like generation right now. I mean, Walking Dead is like what it is, but everyone kind of hates Walking Dead at this point. So
yeah, they lasted too long.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back soon to talk about episode 2. It's a great show, and I look forward to discussing future episodes.
Yep.
All right. Like, comment, subscribe. So,